At 11:47 p.m. on a moonless October night, Israel's most advanced hypersonic defense system suddenly activated without any visible threat on conventional radar screens. The Iron Beam's quantum sensors had detected something that would change everything military experts thought they knew about modern warfare. What happened in those next 17 minutes would either save Tel Aviv from complete destruction or reveal that Israel's billion-dollar defense network had become dangerously unreliable. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to discover more classified military technologies that are reshaping the future of global security. The date was October 15, 2024, and the location was the heavily fortified Palmakim Air Base, 30 kilometers south of Tel Aviv. Inside the underground command center known as the Vault, Colonel Maya Rosen was completing her routine night shift when every alarm in the facility began screaming simultaneously. The Iron Beam hypersonic defense system, Israel's most classified military project, had just locked onto a target that appeared on none of their traditional radar systems. The quantum detection array was registering an incoming threat traveling at Mach 12, but every conventional sensor showed completely empty skies. Colonel Rosen had spent 15 years working with Israel's most advanced defense systems, from the original Iron Dome to the revolutionary Iron Beam project. She knew that the quantum sensors were designed to detect threats that conventional radar couldn't see, including stealth aircraft, hypersonic missiles, and even theoretical plasma-based weapons. But what she was seeing on her screens defied every parameter the system had been programmed to recognize. The target was massive, moving in patterns that violated the laws of physics as she understood them, and it was headed directly toward Israel's most populated region. The Iron Beam system represented the pinnacle of Israeli military technology, developed in absolute secrecy over the past decade. Unlike the Iron Dome, which intercepted rockets and missiles after they were already airborne, the Iron Beam used directed energy weapons and quantum sensors to detect and neutralize threats before they could even be launched. The system could theoretically stop hypersonic missiles, stealth bombers, and even satellite-based weapons that other defense systems couldn't detect until it was too late. But tonight, it was tracking something that shouldn't exist. As the mysterious target approached Israeli airspace, the quantum sensors began providing increasingly disturbing data. The object appeared to be phasing in and out of multiple dimensions simultaneously, sometimes registering as solid matter, other times as pure energy. Its trajectory was impossible, making 90-degree turns at hypersonic speeds without any visible propulsion system. Most alarming of all, the object seemed to be actively scanning Israel's defense networks, probing for weaknesses with a sophistication that suggested an intelligence far beyond current human technology. Colonel Rosen immediately activated Protocol 7, the highest level of defense readiness in the Israeli military. Within minutes, every Iron Beam installation across the country was online and tracking the anomalous target. The system's artificial intelligence began running thousands of threat assessment scenarios per second, trying to determine the object's origin, capabilities, and intentions. But for the first time in the system's operational history, the AI couldn't classify what it was seeing. The tension in the vault became suffocating as technicians frantically checked and rechecked their instruments. Senior weapons specialist David Goldberg, a veteran of 3 wars who had helped design the Iron Beam's targeting systems, stared at his console in disbelief. The quantum sensors were registering energy signatures that matched no known technology on Earth. The object's propulsion system appeared to manipulate space-time itself, creating localized gravitational anomalies that allowed it to move in ways that conventional physics said were impossible. At 11:52 p.m., the situation escalated beyond anyone's worst-case scenarios. The mysterious object suddenly split into 7 identical copies, each one taking a different trajectory toward major Israeli cities. Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Haifa, Beersheba, Eilat, Nazareth, and Ashdod were all now under simultaneous threat from objects that conventional weapons couldn't touch. The ion beam system's AI began calculating interception probabilities and came back with results that chilled everyone in the command center. 0% success rate using standard protocols. But Colonel Rosen remembered something from her classified briefings about the ion beam's most experimental capabilities. Hidden within the system's quantum architecture was an untested protocol designed for threats that existed outside normal space-time parameters. The protocol, codenamed Dimensional Shield, had never been activated because the scenarios it was designed for were considered purely theoretical. Tonight, theory was about to become terrifying reality. The decision to activate Dimensional Shield required authorization from the highest levels of Israeli government. At 11:55 p.m., Prime Minister's security phone rang with a call that would change the course of military history. Colonel Rosen had exactly 90 seconds to explain why she needed permission to activate a weapon system that could potentially tear holes in the fabric of reality itself. The Prime Minister, understanding that 7 Israeli cities were about to be destroyed by an unknown force, gave the authorization without hesitation. At 11:57 p.m., the ion beam system underwent a transformation that its creators had only dreamed about. Quantum field generators across Israel began synchronizing their frequencies, creating a defensive grid that existed partially outside normal space-time. The system was no longer just detecting threats in 3 dimensions, but scanning across multiple parallel realities to predict where the objects would appear next. It was like playing chess against an opponent who could move through walls, except the ion beam had just learned to think in 4 dimensions. The breakthrough came when the system's AI realized that the 7 objects weren't separate entities at all, but different dimensional projections of a single craft that existed primarily in a parallel universe. By targeting the quantum signature that connected all 7 projections, the ion beam could neutralize the entire threat with a single, precisely calibrated energy pulse. But the window of opportunity would last only 17 seconds, and failure would mean the complete destruction of Israel's major population centers. At exactly midnight, the ion beam fired its first dimensional pulse. The energy beam appeared to miss its targets completely, passing harmlessly through empty air while the 7 objects continued their approach toward Israeli cities. For 3 agonizing seconds, everyone in the vault believed they had failed catastrophically. Then, something unprecedented happened. All 7 objects suddenly flickered like bad television reception and vanished completely, leaving no trace on any sensor system. The immediate aftermath was chaos mixed with relief. Every ion beam installation reported successful threat neutralization, but no one could explain exactly what had been neutralized or where it had come from. The quantum sensors showed that the objects had simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed in any conventional sense, but erased from reality as if they had never been there at all. The only evidence that anything had happened was the recorded sensor data and the testimony of 37 military personnel who had witnessed the impossible. The long-term implications of that October night continue to reshape Israel's defense strategy and humanity's understanding of warfare itself. The ion beam's dimensional capabilities have been quietly upgraded and expanded, creating a defense network that can protect against threats from parallel universes, time-traveling weapons, and technologies that won't be invented for decades. Other nations have begun developing their own quantum defense systems, leading to an arms race in technologies that most people don't even know exist. The incident also revealed something profound about the nature of reality and Israel's place in defending not just their own territory, but potentially all of human civilization. The objects that night were later determined to be reconnaissance probes from a parallel Earth where technology had developed along radically different lines. The fact that they were specifically targeting Israel suggested that the nation's defensive capabilities were seen as a threat, even by civilizations from other dimensions. What makes this story truly extraordinary is not just the technology involved, but the split-second decision-making that prevented a catastrophe beyond imagination. Colonel Rosen's willingness to activate an untested system, the Prime Minister's trust in military expertise, and the Iron Beam AI's ability to think beyond the parameters of normal reality all combined to save millions of lives from a threat that officially never existed. The entire incident remains classified at the highest levels, with only a handful of people knowing the full truth about the night Israel's defenses evolved beyond the boundaries of our universe. If you discovered that your country's military was secretly defending against threats from parallel dimensions, would you want to know the truth, or would you prefer to sleep peacefully in ignorance? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more stories about the hidden technologies that protect our world from dangers we never see coming.